Uh, I feel like maybe we should get this Canon lens out of the way first.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at it.
All right, cool. So this is the lens with all of the lens creep. This is the Canon 100 to 500. What is the aperture on this again? f4.5 to 7.1. I thought so.
Gotcha.
This is one of their biggest lenses for the RF mount. And just to give you a bit of an understanding, so this is my chin right here, and
Mm.
this is the lens, and this is my head. And I'm going to take the lens hood off just to be a little bit more transparent with you guys. This thing is as big as my head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a chunky boy.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's also very heavy. I have a polarizing lens on here because sometimes, you know, in order to test this thing, usually I probably test this for like indoor sporting events or something like that, but none of that's happening right now because we are in what we're in right now in the pandemic. So instead, I'll have to be really careful and not frighten birds that are around my apartment building. I have taken a trip out to a more wooded place recently, but I didn't take this lens with me. I was testing a whole bunch of other stuff, but I plan on doing that soon.
Hmm.
And again, this is, I think you'll agree with me on saying this is actually one of Canon's more versatile lenses, Brett, for RF.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a pretty good zoom range it's got in there.
Yeah. Plus, in addition to that, I mean, 4.5 to 7.1, like, let's say you're repairing it with the R6, like, you've got great high ISO output. You wouldn't really have to worry about that at all.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah,
the
I'd agree
same.
with that.
Yeah. And it's the same with the R5. With the R5, I think you're getting like 7 or 8 stops of image stabilization on here. There was recently a firmware update to make it better with the EOS R original. I haven't really tested it on the EOS R original yet, though, partially because I really like the EOS R5.
Hmm.
If you haven't seen our review on that, go check it out. Same with the R6. Like these are great cameras. Arguably, in some ways, game changing because of the image stabilization built in. But yeah, let's take a closer look at this lens. So it's one of their white lenses. You know, the only other
Hmm.
brand that really makes white lens. Actually, no. I was going to say only other brand, but that's wrong. Fujifilm, Sony, Pentax.
Hmm.
Yeah, those brands make white lenses.
Yep.
Um, this is not an internal zooming lens. So there's here, and then there's here. And it becomes like double the size of my head, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make it unstable at all when it's fully zoomed out?
Not at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, because there's image stabilization built into the lens and then
Hmm.
also into the body. And then in addition to that, too, let's show you here. I don't know how well you can see these controls.
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay, so we have focus limiter here. We have autofocus or manual focus right here. We have image stabilization on or off right here. Quite honestly, I've never turned this thing off, even when it's
Hmm.
on a tripod, and it's totally fine. And then you have a type of stabilizer mode there. I haven't changed that at all either. Then, in addition to that, too, I mean, there is the control ring right here that's I mean, depending on who you're talking to for Canon shooters, some people like these things, some people don't. On my EOS R, I know that I use it with the 51.2 to have like aperture around the lens,
Hmm.
ISO here, and then shutter speed here.
Interesting. Is this the first RF lens with the control ring at the back instead
Yes,
of
it
at the front?
is.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, I think the 70 to 200 has it there too.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, you're right about that. Most of the primes have it like up here, like a traditional
Hmm.
like Leica lens or something like that. This is more Fujifilm style.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You also have this other ring right here to smoothen or tighten like the zooming. So that's tighter. And now this is looser.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously this is the zoom ring, and then this right here is the most important ring. This is the little red ring that tells you
There.
that it's a Canon L lens.
There you go.
This is the most important one. Like if that's not there, this lens, like toss it in the garbage.
Why even use
Seriously.
it? Why bother?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would make a great doorstop, you know?
There you go.
Um, otherwise, I mean, you know, let's talk about the build quality of this thing. It's heavy.
Hmm.
It really is. Like, I wouldn't really want to sit there. for a really long period of time. Let's say, I mean, when I go out on hikes, I usually try to take like a small prime with me.
Hmm.
This, I probably have to like switch shoulders every now and again, because otherwise it would really annoy me.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of heavy, but it is weather sealed. Canon's lenses are incredibly weather sealed, and so are their bodies. We've done pretty torturous things to these things before, and they've been fine. This lens, though, I have not taken it out into the rain yet, because it really makes no sense to do in the pandemic. But as I said, I will be taking it out a lot more. So, that's build quality. We talked about the ergonomics, the autofocus. This thing is incredibly fast. It has not lost a single shot, even
That's
in
it.
tracking.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot better than the primes I reviewed here recently. The 600 and 800.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, those aren't L lenses. Like, they don't have
Yep.
this. So that means you have to use them as doorstops. Remember that?
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Um, So I'm guessing partially it's because they have better motors,
Right.
they let more light in, all that kind of stuff. But the really cool thing is, so Canon with face detection, sometimes it will detect birds. And with this lens, I won't really have too much trouble trying to get them. But if not, then like I just, move the focusing point and
Right.
I'm pretty good. Tracking with these things, I haven't really gotten a chance to do it yet. Partially because the birds move way too fast, and I'm not in a position usually where I'm just like, oh, okay, hey, okay, all right, all right, all right. That's the thing too. Like, I really wish that like Canon had a system sort of like Olympus where they have like the little target sight up there,
Hmm.
so that you can figure out, oh, okay, I'm at 600 millimeters. Okay, that's what I need to be. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the targets
Um,
are great.
Yeah, but I mean, this is also a 100 to 500. It's
Hmm.
kind of difficult. You usually have to be at like 100. You have to zoom all the way in, get to your subject, and then like, you know,
Yep.
focus and shoot. Um, Talked about build quality, talked about autofocus. Let's share a few photos. Again, I don't have a whole lot, just because of the fact that like one, I'm usually a lot better at shooting birds, with cameras, that is, but right now it's sort of difficult. Can you see this, Brett?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay, cool. So I shot this photo a long time ago. When was the west coast of America basically burning up? It still
Mm,
is. Wait,
it still is, but I think it started like beginning of last month.
yeah. I shot this when like all the smoke was coming over to the east coast. And this is from my apartment. So
Hmm.
that sun was pretty surreal. It's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what to do with this lens with, the limited space that I'm in, and that's pretty difficult to do, but I know people that are doing it right now. I mean, we see it in our buyer statistics with Amazon. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Here is a mourning dove. And I shot this through my window with a polarizing filter. So that's why you're sort of getting like these colors and like the lower contrast.
That still looks pretty good for being through a window, though.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And like, look how sharp that still is.
Yeah, that's right. Very sharp.
Yeah. That's the thing too. Like these new L lenses are great. Like even though they might not win DxO mark awards or anything like that, like they're still fantastic.
Hmm.
This is a nesting pair of birds. They're very young. And let me see if I can get another here. Let me go in. Let me zoom in on that. That is proof that I screwed that one up. Let's go to here. Here we go. Yeah, he's sharp.
Yeah, that one's nice and sharp.
Yeah. Um, but because I'm at f7.1 and that one was 500 millimeters, like very shallow depth of field, it is still difficult to try to get like everything in focus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some people don't really understand that with birds. I got them both looking at me at the same time. Yay, that's pretty awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah, I also really adore the colors on this thing. Not gonna
Yeah, I was
lie.
gonna say they look really, really good. And are these edited or are they JPEGs from the camera?
These are JPEGs from the camera.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm wondering if like the polarizing filter is really doing a lot, but sometimes, as I said, I'm shooting through a window, makes sense for me to use my polarizer to cut down
Hmm.
reflections. Uh, but yeah, man, I mean, I'm liking this lens. I think it's really beautiful. It looks like someone was in the chat. No, they were not. Oh, Christine said it's big. Uh, Gino says cost wise. How much is this thing? Let's see. Let's see how much this thing is.
Isn't it 26.99 or is it more than that? I can't remember.
100 to 500 RF. Actually, you're right on the money. It's 26.99.
Yeah, I knew it was one of the most expensive ones.
Yeah. When you sit there and you think about that, that's not too bad.
No, it's really not for what it is. Especially getting that build quality as well.
Yeah. And I mean, Canon's autofocus has really, really improved itself. So far, I'm liking this lens. Would I buy it? No, because I'm not a wildlife shooter.
Hmm.
Um, I do like doing it every now and again. I just not really that often. Let me show you guys a quick tool that I'm actually using to help me with this kind of stuff. Ugh. As I catapult myself back into my seat. You guys remember these binoculars?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So because I'm legally blind, every time I go out and I'm in an area, I'll usually just like scout around with these things and be like, okay, cool. I will go ahead and I'll bring the camera up and then I'll shoot. Um, and that's usually been pretty effective. It's much more effective and much better on battery life than me just
Hmm.
like putting the camera up to my eye and then trying to figure all that kind of stuff out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, so far this is a good lens. I'm still not totally sure who would buy it because again, I can't really test it for indoor sports shooting yet. I think it would be great. Um, I mean,
Yeah,
help me out on this. Like, who do you think would buy it?
it's definitely going to be for your professional wildlife photographers, I would think. Indoor sports, I could see some people using it for sure, but I'm sure many would probably opt for the 70 to 200. But outdoor sports, it would be very good. Um, but like I say, you could use it indoors just because of the ISO performance of the cameras it's going to be going on to as well. But definitely going to be a wildlife photographer's lens.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Do you think anyone would use this for Astro? Probably not, right?
I mean, you could if you were going to do like deep space astro,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean that aperture is not gonna do any favors for you.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, in addition to that too, like this lens, when it's attached to the camera, even though it's mirrorless, it's very difficult to get into a bag altogether. So you probably have to do some rearranging of the bag and like the sections and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, so that's also another reason why, like, I mean, I'm gonna have to mention that in my review. If you are going to get this lens, you probably need another bag of some
Yeah.
sort. Um, but yeah, man, like, I mean, I can't really complain about the performance and the image quality, all that stuff. It's just I need to really go out there and test it a little bit more. And hopefully New York doesn't fully close down. And I'll be able to go out to like Long Island and test it
Hmm.
like in a marsh or something like that. But so far I'm having a lot of fun.
Good.
We would usually test it at the Bronx Zoo, but tickets for that are like uh all used up until like the next 2 months from now. So there's no point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's tough to go out and do anything right now. It's the same here in Oklahoma City. You have to book in advance, and it's like months long waiting lists and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, we should just tell them that we're members of the press and we need to do it for, reasons.
there you go. We have
Yeah,
reasons.
exactly. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's what I think about this lens. I mean, what are your thoughts on this lens and what do you feel Canon really needs in their lineup right now?
I mean, this is going back to when I used to shoot Canon. I always used to love their 100 to 400. I used to have the version one that was the push pull. So I have a soft spot for this lens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it would be the perfect lens for me because I love doing wildlife photography. Um, I mean, it's going to be another great option for anyone who wants something a bit more substantial other than the 600 to 800 primes that we looked at last week. It's going to have the weather sealing. Obviously, it's going to have the better image quality. But no, I think this is a good versatile zoom for anyone who likes to get out into the outdoors.
Yeah, I also think that they're taking a very similar approach that Sony did. I remember they had like their 100 to 400 come out, and
Hmm.
then they were announcing their primes, and then they came out with like the 200 to 600, and then they
Yes.
had another prime. You know, Canon made years ago this legendary like 1200 millimeter f5.6 lens
Hmm.
that like I mean, very few people had one. I remember Sports Illustrated had one. There was some prints in the Middle East that had one. The CIA had one. The FBI had one. I think Time Magazine and the New York Times had one.
Hmm.
But like, just imagine if they try to create something like that for
That
the
would be
system.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it would also probably be the size of this room.
Think of the bag you'd need to carry that one around, huh?
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Yeah, it's so lightweight and it's portable. You know, you can put it in the back of your truck and you can just go."
You have a strap on it to carry it across your back like a bazooka or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, man, let's get into that other segment. I feel like we talked about the Canon enough. What
Yeah,
do you think?
absolutely. Yeah, let's dive into this.
All
I think a
right.
lot of people are going to have some questions and comments about this as well.
Yeah, before I do that, let me look on Facebook very quickly. It doesn't look like we have any questions, so we can move on from this.